Hello everyone and welcome to our first One Piece card game fundamental masterclass. I'm Flesh from Flesh and Trek Patreon, and today I will do my best to teach you how to become a better One Piece player. Why we decide to do a masterclass on fundamental? It's because we think it's useful for all players to become better. Fundamental can be used in every game and with every deck. So that's why we think it's really useful. Who we are. I'm Flesh, a French player. I have some decent results this year. My best one is the championship final Liverpool that I won and allow me to play World Championship this year. I'm known to play only best deck, so I will mostly play only tier 1 deck, and I will try to master 1 or 2 deck each meta. My friend Trek is different. He is known to be a very strong deck builder. He can play every deck. He will also play tier 2, tier 3 deck and try to make them good. He is the creator of RPLO, the aggressive build in OPO 4.5. So together we will try to share our knowledge about fundamentals to help you guys to become better players. And what we will see today is a lot of subject. The first one is Mulligan. It's really important because it's at the start of the game. If you Mulligan bad, most of the time you will have a bad game. So it's a really important aspect that we will try to focus on. And if you have a good Mulligan, it's a good start to have a good game. The second part is sequencing. Sequencing is really important because it allows you to give less information to your opponent. And we know if we give less information to our opponent, it allows our opponent to make some mistake. End reading is also a point that will help you in card game because if you are able to guess the opponent end, you can make better play. Adaptation. The adaptation part will be probably one of the hardest part in the masterclass because there is a lot of things to say and most of the time it's in game and it's really hard because there is a lot of possibility. But we will try to talk about this subject later. Little, how to go for little. It's something that even in high level tournament, you can see that even really strong player doesn't know how to go for little in the good way, with the good math. So in this part, we will discuss about the math, and I will try to teach you how to go for little with the best way possible. And you will see it's really easy. It just needs some practice. After that, we will discuss about some where to find deck lists, how to deck build, and it's something really interesting. And I will present you different tools and different YouTube channels that I use. And we will finish with the last part, the mental aspect, that is really important in card game as well. Let's talk now about Mulligan, and we will see there is different things to say in Mulligan. Mulligan or not Mulligan? The first thing is we will talk about the curve. It's really easy concept, but you need to understand that you don't need the same card if you go first or if you go second, because basically you will be or on an odd curve or in a even curve. So you don't need the same card. The second thing, and probably one of the most important, is to understand the concept of key cards, like which card make you win which matchup. So it's really important. After, we will see if the matchup is good or bad, because if the matchup is good or bad, we will not mulligan the same way. We will do some calculation because I love maths. So we'll talk about what is the probability to see one card after the mulligan. And I will propose you one website to train your mulligan. So first or second, let's talk about the curve. What is your curve? The curve is when you go first, your curve will be 3 down, 5 down, 7 down, 9 down. When you go second, it's 2 down, 4 down, 6 down, 8 down, 10 down. Here, it's really easy to understand the concept. We have two ends, the end of the top and the end at the bottom. The end at the top, we can see that the curve while going first is really strong because we have Brook on 3, we have Tashigi on 5, we need a 7 down turn, but we can do it, and we have Kaido 9 on 9. So it's a really good first curve. But if we go second, is the curve that good? Kaido will only arrive on 10 down, we don't have 4 down turn, we can have Brook, it's okay, Tashigi on 6, but it's not that powerful as while being first. At the bottom, we can see the curve is way better while going second, because we have brand new on 2, Kuzan or Borsalino on 4. On 6, we can play Sengoku to try to get Tashigi, or we can play Borsalino, for example. So here, really easy to understand, but don't mulligan the same way if you are first or if you are second, because you don't usually want the same card. The most important concept, the key card. Key card is really important because the key card will depend only on one thing. It will depend on the matchup. For example, if we play against Senna, against Zoro, or against Stitch, we won't need the same card. Enel is the control deck, Zoro is the aggressive deck, and Teach is a disruptive deck. So depending on the matchup that you face, your key card will be not the same. If we take the example of BY, because I'm a BY player, against Zoro, my key card will be most likely the baby, Luffy Rocket, and Sabo. Why is it that? It's because I want to handle the pressure in early game, and I don't need that much late game tool, because only my early game tool will allow me to win. So against Zoro, I will mulligan for my early game tool. Against NL, I don't really need my early game tool because it's a control deck. So against a control deck, I will try to mulligan for my control tool. So that's why I will mulligan for Kuzan and for Moria, for example. Against Siege, with a disruptive deck, in early game, I want to see Flampe, for example. A key card can be the Luffy 5 cost, because allow me to awaken, but depending on what is my game plan, if I want to play a control game plan, I can mulligan for my blocker. So what is very important to understand is the early game end is not necessarily good. If you face an early deck, your early game is important. But if you face a late game deck, if you face a control deck, your late game will be much important than your early game. And it's something very important to understand. So how to understand what is a key card? There is one question that you need to ask yourself is, how do I win the matchup? And if you play a lot the matchup, you will recognize that there is some pattern where you start to lose or you start to win the game. And you can recognize that there is like 2, 3, 4 key cards that can help you to win the matchup. And what is the way to win the matchup? For example, if you play Zoro, there is some matchup where your goal is to be really aggressive in the first 2, 3 turns. So obviously you will mulligan for a really aggressive curve. If you play a late game deck against a late game deck, for example, I don't know, like if you play Lucci against BY, what is the key card of Lucci against BY? We don't care about Spandin, we don't care about Brook, we don't care about early game card. Like what will be important, for example, if you play Luffy Nightmare, will be Luffy Nightmare because allow you to trash Sabo. And after, if you play Kaido Isho, it will be Kaido Isho, etc. But you see, the card is not necessarily early game. So really think about how you win the matchup. And it will help you to have a better mulligan. Because you will most likely only mulligan for this key card. Because, don't forget, this key card allow you to win the game. And after, if you have other card, you will adapt. But if you have 1 or 2 key card, whatever are the other card in your hand, you will just adapt. What is really important is to know if it's a good or bad matchup. And we will see why. If it's a good matchup, I would say that an average hand is enough. For example, I have my hand with 5 cards and I have only 1 key card. Like, that is good. For example, I have a Lucci against Zoro. I play Lucci and I have Lucci against Zoro. The matchup is good for me. And I have like 1-2k. I know I can deal with the board, I can defend myself. I will just keep the hand. Because my thinking process is I don't need my best hand to win this matchup. If my hand right now is enough to win this matchup, I'm totally okay with that. Because the objective is just to win the game, not to have the best hand. So in a good matchup, if you have an average hand, don't grid it. Just keep it, because if you mulligan and you have worse hand, you can be in trouble. So, like I said, you will mulligan for 1 or 2 key cards. And obviously, it's something that I will repeat, but it's really, really important. Don't keep early game hand if you don't have key card. Like, most of the players overestimate early game hand. If you play your early game, but your early game is bad in the matchup, it doesn't make sense to keep it, because it's not useful. If you have a bad matchup, I saw too many times player keeping good hand in bad matchup. And I'm like, it's okay, but every time same question that you need to ask yourself. Is this hand enough to win the game? If the answer is no, mulligan. Like if my hand is 6 out of 7, it's like a good grade, 6 out of 10, sorry. Like my hand is 6 out of 10, it's better than average, but I'm thinking, okay, the matchup is bad. Is this hand enough to win this game? No. I don't care, I will mulligan. And I will try to get a 8 or 9 out of 10. Because I know that if I don't have it, I will most likely lose the game. And if I have a bad hand, it's okay. The matchup is bad, I have to grid the mulligan. So don't keep an average hand when you face a bad matchup. Grid to have a better hand. So to help you, I would say if you have a hand, try to evaluate it on a scale between 0 and 10. And I would say keep it between 8 and 10. A bad matchup, you can keep it. 7, it's like, we can talk about it, but less than 7, you won't win. Like 6 out of 10 or average hand, you won't win your bad matchup with this type of hand. Okay, let's see some calculations, some probabilities on what is the probability to get one card on one. So here we will take an example with Reiju, because Reiju really needs the stage. It's a card really, really important to have. So we will discuss about it. We have 50 cards in our deck, 5 cards in hand. We play 4 stage in our deck. So what is the probability to have the stage on 1 done if we are the first player? So this is something that you can try to calculate at home. If you play less copy or if you play more copy, for example, if you play 8 searcher and you want the probability to have 1 searcher on 1 done, you can calculate. I will explain you the method here. So before mulligan, the probability to have the stage, what we will calculate is first the probability to have no stage. So what is the probability to have no stage? It's like we have 4 stages in the deck, so the probability to not draw a stage is 46 out of 50. If we didn't draw on the first sample the stage, there is 1 less card in the deck. So the probability will be 45 out 49, etc., 44 out 48, etc., etc. Because we have 5 cards, we will times every time, but we need 5 calculations. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So we obtain the result of 0.65. What this result means? This result means that we have 65% chance to not have the stage before mulliganing. So it says if we open our hand, our first hand, before mulligan, we have 65% chance to not have the stage in hand. It means that we have 35% chance to have stage in hand. So now let's talk about the mulligan. If we mulligan, we will do 2 times this. So in probability, when you do 2 times the same issue. It's like, I don't know how to say in English, but I think it's a tree. In France, we talk about probability tree. I don't know if it's the same. We will times 0.65 times 0.65 to see after a Mulligan what is the probability to not have the stage. So the probability to not have the stage is 42% or 0.42. So 42% to not have the stage. If we want to calculate how to have the stage, we'll do 1 minus 0.42 and it's 0.58%. So it means that 6 games out of 10, we will see the stage if we only mulligan for the stage while going first. So it means that 4 games out of 10, we will not see the stage on 1. Obviously, if you want to improve the chance to see stage, you can run some searcher that will make you see more card, and so it's more easy and you have more chance to see the card. For example, if you run 4 copy of a card, like if you run 4 copy of an event, if you want to see the probability to see one event or one searcher on one, the only number that will change is you will not write 46 out of 50, you will not 42 out of 50, and after 41 out of 48, out of 49, and 40, and you will continue like this. But it's quite the same method. So that was the calculation part. Like this, it can also allow you to understand how to calculate the probability to with a searcher or to success a searcher. It's with the same thinking process that you will use. How to train Mulligan. So it's really important because it's something that you can train and it's really, really easy to train. So I will share with you a website that I use, and the website is free. Everything that I will share in this video is free. I will share only free information, so I'm not sponsored for this video. There is nothing, I will say nothing. I just share with you what I use and why I use it and why I like it. So my Mulligan, I train on the Eggman deck builder. So you have the address here, like deck builder point, like .eggmanevents.com, and you can create your deck. So here, for example, I create my smoker deck, and after it's really easy, you load it, and you have this, and you can just draw new hand. Like I'm like this. Okay, I have this hand. I'm going first against this matchup. Do I want to keep? Yes, no, why? And I'm thinking, I go second in the same matchup. Do I want to keep it or not? And it's something really useful because with this hand, for example, Ina, Brook, Tashigi, Keido, Branu, you can discuss about this mulligan in a lot of different matchups and why going first or second. And when it's easy for you, you are okay with I want to mulligan or I want to keep, you can just draw and you will draw a new hand, or the new hand, sorry, and you will draw a new hand or draw and see what will be your life and what will be your draw. So it's really useful. It helped me a lot to practice a lot my early game and to see, okay, do I have my curve? Is this deck consistent or not? So I use it a lot to see the consistency of the deck and to see how many times I see my key card on curve or not. Also, one thing really easy, you can just discuss with your friend and different player in regional or at your locals, and they can help you on how to mulligan and what are, in their opinion, the key card. If there is a matchup that you don't understand or that you don't know, you can ask your opponent like, okay, I don't understand which card disturb you, and your opponent can explain you which card is the key card for him in his opinion. So now we can focus on sequencing. I think this is the part where players need to improve the most, because this is where in tournament I feel like there is a lot of optimization to do, and it's really easy to work on it. So let's focus on sequencing. So why sequencing is important? Sequencing is important, first thing, is just to play around trigger. It's like really easy concept, but if you play around trigger, like you cannot complain about trigger if you play bad around them. Sequencing is really important in general, because if you give your opponent less information, you will help him to make bad play or mistake. And after we will discuss about or how to improve your sequencing. So to play around trigger, we will see first very different type of triggers, and it's really important to understand. There is removal, like Luffy, Nami, Tempest Key, Gravity Blade. This is card that we can see play, and there are also character. Like for example in Bello Betty, there is a lot of character trigger, but also in NL or in some yellow deck you can see some character. And you will not play the same, you will not have the same sequencing if you play against removal or if you play against character. If you play against removal, really easy concept, and you have to think about it. It's just first swing, do your attack before developing your board. It's really easy, it costs nothing, but it's really important to do. If you attack and your opponent got a trigger, he cannot use it if you didn't develop your board. So it's really easy concept, but to be honest, a lot of time I see people like just playing board and after swinging, like make your turn in your head, swing first, and after develop your board. Second thing is if you already have a board. If you already have a board, really easy, like swing with character that can die first. For example, you play against a Lucci or against a black deck that can run Tempest Kick. Tempest Kick kill a free cost. So you will first swing with your free cost, and after you will swing with your bigger character. But if you have 5 costs, for example, and you know your opponent run Gravity Blade, first thing with your 5 costs, and after you will swing with other things. For example, you run against a blue deck, you have 5 costs and 3 costs, swing first with your 5 costs, because if your opponent only run Gravity Blade and you know it, it's better for you if he uses trigger on a 3 cost than on your 5 cost. So you will need to adapt around this. Also, a thing that can be really useful is just to play a protection. If you play a black deck, before swinging, you can just play Sabo against yellow, for example, or against black. And like this, you know that your board cannot be removed by trigger. And also, really important, sometimes if you have a blocker and you need your blocker to survive, and your opponent is 1 life, if you know that you will kill him 100% sure the next turn, don't take the risk. Sometimes it's okay to not attack. If it doesn't change the number of turns you need to kill your opponent, the attack is useless. So don't take the risk to die on a trigger if the attack is not needed. The character. So character is quite the same, and it's something that you will always do against trigger. It's like you attack first, like this, you will have more information. If you start attacking and you see your opponent develop a character, you can have a better option, a better idea on what will be your opponent board, and like this it can help you to have a better answer or a better play. So it's just really easy concept, but trust me, if you focus in the start of your turn to do this, it will help you to play better on trigger. And quite the same, I saw a lot of players that just attack for no reason, and it's something that is can be really important in this meta, because if you play against a Bello Betty and you're sure you will kill her next turn, don't attack, like don't let her use a trigger. And it's also something that can happen with a red deck. We know that in a red meta, there is a card that can be played, not a trigger, but it's Goldie Roger. And if you attack and put your opponent at 0 life for no reason, sometimes you can lose just because of Gold Roger. So really important to understand the concept of don't attack if you don't need it. So trigger is one, how to say, precise case. Now we will talk about more global thing. And it's really important, the sequencing, to give less information. Really, really, really important. Too many games are won just because our opponent make a mistake. And why our opponent makes a mistake? It's because he play without information. If we do the play first and we give all information to our opponent, it will be way harder for him to make a mistake. So how to have a good sequencing? Most of the time, what I advise in coaching is like, think about your turn in your head. If you have 10 done, 9 done, think about what is your ideal turn. And when you finish your ideal turn, start with attacking. Because if you attack with a lot of done open, your opponent doesn't know what you want to do. Like, he doesn't know, and it's really hard for him to figure it out what you want to do, because it depends on what you have in hand, it depends on what is your game plan on this turn and next turn. So he can make a bet and choose a wrong bet and lose a lot of advantage, or being in big disadvantage with his choice. So really important, do your turn in your head before doing anything. When your turn is ready, do the attack before developing anything, because you don't want to give information to your opponent. And if your opponent make a misplay, you can adapt. For example, my thinking process was to developing a 10 down turn. I attack 5, my opponent take life and go to 1 life. Maybe if I have 2 more attack, I can decide to change my plan and to do 2 big swing. It's something that can be allowed. If we play first the 10 cost, it will be just useless, because our opponent will know that we develop a 10 cost, so he can decide to take everything or just to defend everything. Let's talk about this setup. So we have Sabo in our hand. It's like the turn that we want to play. I think about my turn. Okay, my best turn is to play Sabo. So I want to develop this Sabo. So I have 5 done for Sabo. How many done I have remaining? I have 4 done remaining. So I need to think about what I will do with this 4 done. What look not stupid is to go 7, 7, 7. And after I play Sabo. So really important, I will not play Sabo because I want to attack with my board. If I have, for example, a Kuzan also in hand, and my play is to go Kuzan Sabo, I can decide to go 6, 6, 5, or 5, 6, 6, and after play Kuzan Sabo. But here, in this case, we will consider we only have Sabo. And it's here or where the sequencing will be important, because we can adapt depending on what our opponent is doing. Because here we have 9 down, our opponent can think, okay, he will play Kaido or he will play Moria. Rip Moria, you are not here anymore, but our opponent can think we can play different card. So I start with 7 with Tashigi, and my opponent take life. I start with the second 7 with Tashigi, and my opponent take life again. He is 1 life, and I have 7 down remaining. I have the choice with going with Sabo and attack 7. So it's something possible. I can start with another 7 and play Sabo. But one option that seems really interesting is, for example, to attach all my Dawn on my leader and attack and put him at 0 life. Because if my opponent is at 0 life, he will have less option. Okay, I changed my plan. I didn't play my Sabo, but I put him at 0 life. So every turn he will need to play a blocker and at the same time to remove my board. So it will be really, really hard for him to answer that. That's why here, in this case, it's really important, the sequencing. If we start with Sabo, after we can just go 3 times 7, and our opponent can decide to defend or take the first 7. Something I see a lot, and I don't understand how to explain, but trust me, I saw it a lot of time in regional. Like, you decide to go 7. You have 10 done. You play Doflamingo, you decide to go 7, and you have a Jimbe and a Weevil on the board, and you attach 2 Don on Jimbe and attack 7. And I don't understand why. I cannot explain why people do that. I will try to explain you my thinking process. Why I'm shocked when I see this. It's because I have 10 Don, you attach 2 Don on Jimbe, and you attack 7 with Jimbe, it's like, you just give me more information. You just give me the information that you will play with 8 Don. If you attack 7 with Weavil, you have more option. You still have 9 Don remaining. I don't know, for example, if you play Miyok in your deck, you start 7 with Weavil. If I defend, you can decide to go with Miyok. So it's really important when you have attack that you want to do, like you want to start with 7, start with the thing that give less information, except if you want to play around trigger. But in this case, both are 4 cost, so you will always attack with Weevil first. So really, really important when you have things like this, attack with the play who give less information and that allow you to have more adaptation. How to improve your sequencing? It's something really easy to improve, and you can do your exercise yourself. Like, you have a board state. What is interesting is like when you have some board, like I would say 2 character. You have 2 character on the board, you have few options in hand, and your opponent has 5-6 card and like 2-3 life. Take a photo of this board state. So what is the board state? Is the board plus the number of cards in your opponent hand and your number of cards in your hand with your option. And take a photo and just think about what is your turn. Like, decide what is your turn, and after, when you decide what is your turn, sequence it, and just, depending on what your opponent is doing, adapt with your sequencing. After, you can discuss about a friend and see, does he think the same way? Does he have the same sequencing? Does he have the same turn? And it's something that can be really useful because in this is in this type of exercise where you share your ID that you will see that a lot of people think different way and have different options in their mind, and you can try to improve your sequencing like this. It will be really, really helpful. Okay, and now let's focus on hand reading. So hand reading is a part that will really make the game way more easy for you. If you didn't have this capacity, this ability of hand reading, and after this part you understand what is hand reading, you understand how to use it, the game will be so much easier for you. So why hand reading is important? So first we will see what is the hand reading. After we will see different type of hand reading, what is really easy to hand read, what is a little bit more harder to hand read, and what is hard to hand read. And we will finish with always the same, how to improve our hand reading. So what is hand reading? Hand reading is really easy. It's the ability to determine the opponent's hand. So to say it in a different way is like, can you guess what is in your opponent's hand? If you're able to guess what is in your opponent's hand, it will be more easier to do play that disturb your opponent. So let's start with easy and reading, what probably everyone do, but it's not sure. Searcher. So really important thing is like pay attention to what your opponent pick. There is some searcher in one piece, and if your opponent pick a card on turn 1 and he didn't use it on 10 done, it looks stupid to say that, but it's still in his hand. So you will know, like, for example, he still have his new gate, like, non-counter in his hand, or he still have a 2k counter that he didn't use. Like, that's why you need to think about this, but in both ways. For example, you pick a 2k counter on your searcher, and when you need to defend yourself, you use a 2k counter, but you didn't use the same 2k counter. What does it mean? It means that you still have another 2k counter in hand, and it's an information that is really valuable for your opponent. So don't forget, when your opponent search, you have to focus on it because it gives you information, but it's also an information that you have to use it when you search. Because if you search for a 2k, if you search for a Greek, and you discard it with a 0-cost spell, allow you to give less information to your opponent. So really important. The second thing that is really easy is when you attack. When you attack, you will see that one piece gives you a lot of information when you attack. For example, I take my Weevil, I play Doffy against Purple Luffy, I attack 6, and my opponent counter with 2 1k, with Kid and Sanji. Here, it's really easy and reading. Your opponent defend a 6k attack with 2 1k, he could have used a 2k, it means he doesn't have 2k in hand. What does it mean? It means that your 6k attack can be really strong, because he doesn't have 2k. So next turn, if he draw only 1 card, he has a maximum of 1 2k counter in hand, and this is something that you can abuse. When you attack 5, and your opponent discard a 2k, so for example, he could have discarded a 1k, it can mean two things. It can mean he has no 1k, this is the first possibility, or it also can mean that he doesn't want to use a 1k. For example, we are against Lucci, we attack 5, he uses a 2k, it means first option, he doesn't have 1k, second option, he has 1k but he doesn't want to use it. So maybe, for example, he has a Rebecca, but he wants to keep. So this is the two possibilities. But just with this, simple attack, simple counter, you will have 3 information. And with this information, you can adapt your play and you can put your opponent in trouble. A lot of time in my games, I saw that I attack 6, my opponent doesn't have 2k, and all the game I just abuse the 6k attack. So it's something really useful. Intermediate and reading. So let's see something like a little bit harder, but it's quite easy also to understand. It's to think about your opponent play. For example, you play a Boa Mirror, and you have 2 Josu on the board. You have 2 Josu on the board, and your opponent play Boa and decide to play Red Rock on one of your Josu. One thing really important is always consider that your opponent play well. In something that I always try to do is like, I consider that my opponent play well, because if he play bad, it will be more easier, whatever, for me to try to beat him. So I will consider he play well. So here, my opponent play Red Rock on my Josu. Free information, for example, we know he doesn't have Gravity Blade. It can be useful in some setup. It's something that every time when your opponent has the best play, for example, if here you consider the best play is to play Gravity Blade for your opponent, and your opponent doesn't play it, you can consider that he doesn't have it. Or, if he has it, maybe he has a reason to not use it. So think about this. Same, another example that is really simple. You play against NL, you have 9 cards in hand, like you play NL, sorry, you have 9 cards in hand, you are against the Flamingo, he developed a board, he didn't play pudding, it means that he doesn't have pudding in hand. Okay? That's easy to say. That's easy when you see the game from another perspective, but in game sometimes we can see player that can say, okay, maybe my opponent will punish me with pudding or will punish me with gravity blade or with another card, but let's just think, like last turn he played a bad turn. Do you really think he has his key card? I don't think so. He would have played a bad turn. He can top deck it, but it's unlikely. Hard and reading. Let's focus on this. So what can be hard sometimes is like there is some attack, especially in mid-late game, where you will attack 6 and your opponent takes life. And it can say a lot of things. Because when your opponent take a 6k attack, and most of the time he should not, if for example he is in a matchup like we are against Lucci, he's 3 life, we attack 6 and it takes life. It's really weird because we know that it doesn't want to go too low on life. So it can mean different things. It doesn't have 2k, or it can also mean he has a lot of 2k, or it can mean he doesn't have a turn. So he try to take life to have a turn. So it will be really important and it will be really depending on the matchup knowledge. But there is a lot of matchup. If you know your opponent doesn't want to take this attack and he take it, most of the time it will mean he doesn't have 2k or he has a lot of 2k. From my experience, it was the 2Ks. He has a lot of 2k or he doesn't have 2k. It's hard, but if you have a good matchup knowledge, you will see. You can discuss also with your friend, but there is some attack that are really weird to be taken. And try to remember when something is surprising, like for example, like you think your opponent will defend and it take life, and it surprises you. Don't forget to ask your opponent in the end of the game, why did you take this attack? And he can answer you, because I don't have play, because I don't have 2k, and it will help you later for next matchup to see that if this situation happen again, you can adapt in a better way. How to improve hand reading. First, we will talk about what to remember. So really easy, and you need to focus on is the free information. It's like really easy, it's searcher, and when you attack. And also don't forget when you defend, when you counter, don't forget to use the card that you search. Except if you want to play it. But if you don't want to play it, use this card to don't give free information. If opponent doesn't make the best play, most of the time it doesn't have the play. It can be a misplay, but I prefer to consider that it doesn't have the play. The more you will have knowledge on the matchup, the more you can gain free information about opponent hand. If someone wants to defend early and he doesn't defend, probably mean he cannot defend. If someone like defend and he should not defend, it's weird. Maybe he's scared, he doesn't have that much counter. So it's a thing that the more you will have knowledge about different matchups and about your deck, the more you will have information. And like we say, information is the key of card game. So how to improve hand reading? First, really easy, just collect information. Try to remember, force you to say, okay, you have this in hand, you have this in hand. You can write it when you play against a friend or on sim, you can write it. And after, when you see something weird, like when you see something that should not happen, ask your friend, why you do that, why you take this life, why you defend at the end of the game or even during the game. And you can see that most of the time Your opponent has a reason to do that. It may be because he's scared, maybe because he doesn't have 2k, but there is a reason. And if you're able to understand the reason, you will have more powerful play to propose. And also, one thing really important that we didn't mention is study the matchup of your deck from the opposite side. And it's really important because you will see, if you play the deck in, for example, I like to play Smoker, and I have some trouble against, let's say, Lucci. If I want to know how to beat Lucci and what Lucci is doing, I have to play from Lucci's side. Because if I play from Lucci's side, I will understand when my opponent want to counter, when my opponent want to take life, what my opponent want to do, what is the key turn, what is the key card, and it will allow me to have more information when I will replay it from the smoker side. So do not hesitate when you have some trouble in one matchup or when you have some trouble to end read one of your opponent, play his deck. And you will say that when you will come back, the end reading will be way more easier. Now it's the hardest part of One Piece card game, the adaptation. And there is a lot of question and there is a lot of possibilities, so I will try my best to explain you all I know. I will probably forget something, so do not hesitate if you have question to ask it in comment. So where I attack, when defend your board, do I need to take risk, and how to improve my adaptation. So where I attack, it's a question that is already hard to answer. Do we attack board? Do we attack leader? How I attack? It depends. Yes, it depends of what? It depends of a lot of things. Can I threaten little? If I can threaten little, most of the time I will attack face. Can I fight for the board? If I can fight for the board, I will attack on the board. Can I die next turn or not? What is my end reading? End reading will be really important because it will help us a lot to abuse our opponent end. So where I attack, be careful. What I will give you as advice are most of the time. It doesn't mean it works in every case. Most of the time, we will attack on the smaller base because it's way harder to defend a smaller base than a higher base. So, for example, here you can attack on Jinbei and on Weevil. If our opponent has enough card in hand, like not a small amount of card, like maybe 5, 6 card, we will prefer to attack on Jinbei because 5k is harder to remove than 6k body. Because if we attack, for example, 6 on 5, it will need 2k, where when we attack 6 on 6, it will need 1k. If we know it doesn't have 2k, 6 on 5 can be interesting, 7 on 6 can be interesting. If we know it doesn't have 1k, 5 on 5 is interesting, 6 on 6 is interesting. If we want to kill something, most of the time, if we don't have information, we will try to attack with the plus 2k power. It means we will attack with 7 on 5, or we will attack with 8 on 6. But most of the time, we will attack the smaller base because it's harder to defend. Really important. And this is something that I don't see enough, and most of the time control players do not success to do it, is threaten lethal first. If you can have lethal, you have to threaten lethal first. Why? Because if you can threaten lethal, for example, I will start with a 7k attack phase. And if my opponent take, he can be scared about being lethal, it means that he has to defend. So it means that he will reduce his hand with, he will use 3k counter, for example, or maybe he will use 4k counter. It will give us information, but it means that he will like decrease the amount of card in his hand. And so if we want to switch on the board, it will be easier for us to switch on the board. So first, if we can threaten little, we threaten little. And when our opponents decide to defend, after we can switch on the board if we cannot lethal anymore. And by switching on the board, because our opponent has less card in hand, it will be more easier for us to remove the board. And this is an aspect that is really, really important. And I know it's hard, but to help you, I will say you, the only question when you start your turn, what you have to ask yourself is, can I threaten little? If the answer is yes, threaten little. Really important, because your opponent has to defend. For example, can I threaten little? Yes. I attack with 7k. My opponent defend. Can I threaten little again? Yes, but if I want to threaten little, I have to attack with a 5k face. Okay, attack with a 5k face. He has to defend? Okay. He has 3 less card in hand now. Can I threaten little? Not anymore. Okay, no problem. I can, for example, attach all my Don on my leader and kill a 6k body or a 7k body. So it's really the most important in One Piece is, you see, it's part of sequencing. First, you sequence well. After, you have end reading on how many counter your opponent has in hand. And after, it's just adaptation. Okay, you sequence well. Because you can have lethal, your opponent is scared, he defends, and after you can switch on the board. Really important. I will mention it later as well, but I want to mention it right now. Like this, it's clear in your head. If you can threaten lethal, you start going face. Your opponent take life and don't defend, please do not change your plan. Do not go on the board. Continue to go face, your opponent will have to defend. Because if you start going face and after you take one more card in hand and you go on the board, it doesn't make sense. So when you have a plan, follow the plan. So yes, like we said, the opponent has less card to defend his board, so it will be more easy for us to clear the board. So really important, can we threaten lethal? Yes, no. This is the first question that you have to ask yourself while starting your turn. Another question that can be important is like, can I die next turn or not? If you can die next turn, it means that you cannot be as much as aggressive as you want. So it's important to understand. If you are dead, you have to go for little, or you have to clear board. That's the main problem. So what you will do is, can I die next turn? The answer is yes. I will try to clear 1 unit. Okay. I clear 1 unit. Same question. Can I die next turn? If we are in a later turn, like 9, 10, done, I clear 1 unit. I cannot die next turn because I clear 1 unit. Now I can try to push like this, try to set up little into turn. And if you cannot clear unit, really important, or even if you can clear unit but you cannot set up little into turn, or what is really, really, really important, you need a win condition. And it's something in this chapter that I will repeat and repeat, is like, win condition is the key. You need to find a way to win the game. If your way is to go face, but you know you are dead on board because you don't have event, because you don't have card, bluff it. Go face, bluff it. Keep one down open. Say to your opponent, you have 5 cards, 4 no counter card, it's okay. Bluff it. You have counter, you are not scared. You have to find a way to win the game. Really important. If you are in the situation where you cannot die next turn, you have a lot of possibility, and that's nice. You can decide to fight for board. Say, okay, I will keep the board and I will develop another board. You can decide to try to sit up little. Like, okay, I cannot have little Vister, but if I take him 2 lives, maybe next turn I can have little. So it's something that you can do. If you cannot die, it's really hard for your opponent to do something, because if you play really aggressive, whatever that is on the board or on his lives, the problem is he will have to fight back your board. Because he cannot return it all, so his only play is to try to not die the turn later. Can I fight for the board? It's also a question really important. I saw too many people fight for the board when the board is already lost. For example, you play against a Dofi or a Zoro animal, and the board is full. And you know your opponent can like build a new board every turn. He will need to like smash his own board to play card. Like, don't fight for the board. Like, if you cannot fight for the board, don't fight for the board. It looks stupid, but just go face. Because if you fight for the board and you cannot really fight for the board, you will play in your opponent win condition. You will play for the board, but your opponent knows that he will have the board for all the game. So you play for no win condition. So what I would advise to you, if you know that you cannot fight for the board, you need to understand that at the point where you lose the board, you will not have a lot of turn to win the game. Because why we play board in One Piece? In One Piece we play board to have a big number of attacks to make our opponent take life quickly. If we don't have board, we have less attack. It looks stupid to say like this, but it's how it works. So what we need is to find a way to win the game without the board. So first we will probably starting going face, going for life, trying to set up little in 1 or 2 turns. Really important. And the card that we have in hand, we will use it to kill the board or we will use it to defend our life. This is how it works. If we can fight the board, we have to understand what is our win condition. Because sometimes we can fight for the board, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, if it's not our win condition. Like, if our win condition is to kill in 2 turns, why should I go on the board? So, really important. You have to understand, like, if you want your opponent to lose card or lose character also, it's something that can be useful. If you want your opponent to lose card, you can attack small on the board and say, okay, I will let your board, but you will lose card and it will be more easy for me to fight you. If you want your opponent to lose character, you will attack bigger and your opponent will keep card in hand, but he will have less character. So really important, if your board is win condition, you have to fight hard for the board. Like there is some deck where, for example, Lim, if you lose your board, you are in big trouble. So you have to fight for the board, like, because if you lose your board, the game is finished. So really, really important, understand in which matchup you can fight for the board, in which matchup you cannot fight for the board. When defend your board, this is something really, and I talk about board, but we can also talk about lives, because most of the time people have some trouble to know when to defend your board and when take life or not take life. So first thing that I will talk about is how many cards does it cost. If it costs too much card, most of the time I will just leave my board alone, like especially in early game, because if you use all your hand to defend your board, you need to understand that to be valuable, your board need to attack. Like, if you spend 2 cards for 1 character, this character has to give you back 2 cards most of the time to be valuable. So he can give you 2 cards by attacking, for example, 7, and if your opponent defend, he has to spend 2 cards, or by attacking like next turn, next turn. And if your opponent need to re-attack on this character, it will save you 1 attack as well. So this is something important to understand. Is your board important? If your board is your win condition, most of the time you will spend all your hand to defend your board. What is your opponent's strategy? Does your opponent's strategy is to starve you? Does your opponent's strategy is to destroy your board? Your opponent's strategy is to take life in early game? It's like really depend. You will need some knowledge about this to give more value to your counter in hand. And when do you value your card in hand or not? So we will see this as well. So how many cards does it cost? Here I will take a stupid example because it will never happen, or if it happens, you're in big trouble. If our opponent has 3 rush character and we have 5 life, 1 Jimbe on the board, and he decide to go 5 on 5 with Zoro, for example, do you want to counter to save your Jimbe or not? The thing is, 5 on 5 is easy to defend, but what you need to understand is if your opponent wants to kill your Jimbe, he will kill it anyway, because you have a lot of attack. So what you need to understand is like, do I need card in hand or not? Do I need, what is my next turn? Do I need card in hand? And if I take 2 life, how many turns he has to kill me? So there is a lot of questions that you need to ask you, but most of the time, in this type of situation, I will just let my Jimbe die even on the first attack, and I will try to take 2 life after, just because I want more card. Like this, I have more option to play next turn, and I will have also more card to defend my board, because if I am able to develop a new board, I will have more character. Maybe I will have characters that are more easy to defend, etc., etc. But it's always hard. Like you see here, in this part, it will be always, there is no good answer. It's always depend, like how many cards you have in hand, what is the board state, etc., etc. But in this type, if you have a lot of life, and you know your opponent can kill your character, and you will need card in hand, do not hesitate to let your character die, just to take life after. So is your board important? So why a board is important? A board is important to pressure opponent lives, to fight the board back. If it's a board-centric matchup, like having a board can be really good just to fight back the opponent board, because if we defend our board, when we will attack on our opponent board, it will need to defend as well. So it can be really important. If our opponent cannot clean easily, the board can be really important, because if we know our opponent cannot remove it, it means that our board that stick this turn, that will be probably sticking the next turn. So it can have a lot of value. And if you need to go for game, next turn, obviously your board is important. Like when you need to go for little, keeping the most board possible is the way to go. When your board is not important, if you have a board full, and if you need to develop a new board, for example, sometimes I see people like defending their own board, and after they play a big character and they destroy their own board. It's look a little bit weird. So if you want to develop, if you have a developing play, do not hesitate sometimes, like say, okay, you kill my board, I keep my card in hand, but I will use my card in hand to develop. If you cannot have valuable attack, like sometimes there is boards that are not valuable. I will take an example that we have seen a lot, is like 5k body against Black Yellow Luffy when Black Yellow Luffy is 9k leader. Does it matter to defend your 5k attack when Black Yellow is 5k, is 9k leader? Does it matter to defend 4k attack when RP Luffy is 7k leader? It depends. Like I said, I will repeat myself, but it depends. If you need this attack It can be, but if you don't need this attack, just let him die. If your opponent can clean easily, it will depend. If your opponent can clean easily, like sometimes it's okay to defend to force the clean. Like this, it doesn't develop another thing. For example, I will take an example against black deck. If you know your opponent can clean and attack, you will still defend because like this, he will play it clean and he will not play a Kuza or another card. But you will need to rebuild the board. Sometimes, if you know your opponent has a clean and doesn't have anything else, or most likely you know he has a clean and he has to play his clean, you can let your board die if the card that allow you to counter has to be a rebuilding board. For example, you will not counter with a Jinbei or with another card that allow you to develop board if if your opponent can clean. It's look a little bit stupid. And also, board is not important or less important if card in hand are more valuable than your board. Sometimes there are cards in hand that are really valuable, like Rebecca can be a key card in some matchup that is really important, where we prefer to let our board die and keep a good turn next turn. So there is a lot of cards that sometimes you need, like Rebecca in Usopp as well. Like the 7k Rebecca can be really important. So obviously you will not defend your board if you have to counter with your next turn. Opponent strategy. So against destruction strategy, most of the time there is two options. You can play the all-in strategy of the value game, and it will really depend on your game, and on your deck. There is deck where you have to go all in. For example, if you play a really all-in deck, like aggressive one against a destruction deck, you will need to go all in, defend your board, pray for no destruction, and if you have to use all your hand, use all your hand. It's like no problem. Like do not hesitate to go with 0 card in hand or 1 card in hand if your board is your win condition and if your opponent want to destroy your board. Sometimes you have to pray, my opponent cannot destroy my board and I want to kill with this board. If your deck is able to play value game, no problems. Most of the time, if you are able to value check, it means that you can let your board die. For example, it was the case with some Moria deck. Now Moria is gone, but when Moria was here, it's like, you have a Kuzan, you can let your Kuzan die, you can let your Branyu die, you can let everything die. And you replay it with Moria, you can replay it. Like, just you play a board every turn. And by playing a board every turn, your opponent, one turn, will not have destruction, and you will lose. So really important, the value game is more when you can let your board die and play with a new board. And you will just ask your opponent, do you have another answer? Do you have another answer? Do you have another answer? So two different game plans. One thing important, do you value cardinal? And this is something that I see a lot of times. Like, opponent doesn't want to use like free card to defend their board, like free 2k or thing like this. And I'm like, yes, but okay, you don't want to use your free 2k to defend this character, but because you think it's too much. But when you will use it, like if your board is your win condition, why don't use your free 2k? It's like it's really weird because you want to keep card in hand, but if you keep card in hand just to have card in hand, it doesn't matter. Like it's most likely a bad play because the best game are the game where you use all the card in your hand. If you're able to give value to all your card, it means that you you give the best efficient way to each card in your hand. So really important, if the card in your hand doesn't matter, like are not important, you don't want to play it in the next turns, you don't need it in the next turn, just use your card. Like defend your board. It's okay. Like cards are made for this. Like really, really, really important. Like use your card to defend your board when you don't need it. Like most of the time, it's happened for me. Like my opponent will go 7 on 5, 7 on 5. Like I know my opponent can go 7 on 5 at 7 on 5, and I have like 4 2k, and I'm like, I don't care. This 2k, I will not use it next turn. Like I will not get value from this 2k. I use 2k, 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 2k. I go to 0 or 1 card in hand, and I just hope my board will be enough to make my opponent trash card or to kill him like in few turns. In my card, if I value my card in hand, you have different options. You have to find the best way between keeping your board and keeping a good turn for next turn. So like we said with, for example, Usopp, if we have Rebecca in hand and next turn we go to 7 down, we need to think like, do keeping this, for example, Cavendish or keeping this Zoro is most important than having a good turn next turn. And it's something that is hard to answer because it really depends on the matchup, it depends on the board state. Sometimes you have to accept that, okay, my turn next turn will be less powerful, but at least I keep my board. And sometimes you have to accept, okay, I will have less board, but my next turn will be way more powerful. There is no good answer. Like I cannot say you like in this case you have to defend it. It really depends. It really depends. But what you have to ask yourself is like, okay, if I defend, my next turn will be this, and the board state of my next turn will be this. If I don't defend, my board state will be this. And you have to compare at the end of your next turn what is the best board state in your opinion. Is your best board state keeping the Cavendish, but you play only Kyros, for example? Or is it the best board state not having your Cavendish, but you are able to play Rebecca, Kyros, and Zoro? It depends. So ask your question yourself. Try when you have to counter with an important card. Try to think about your next turn. It's what I'm doing when I have to counter with a key card. I'm like, okay, I don't want to counter with this card, but I try to figure it out. What is my next turn? And if my next turn is still okay, I will counter with this key card. If my next turn is not okay, and I think my board is not a big win condition as much as this card in hand, I will keep my card in hand. So you have to figure it out this, and I know it's not that easy. Do I need to take risk? So here, I think this is the biggest part in terms of gaining win percentage, because I see too many people just doing losing line, and in my opinion, it's the worst part in One Piece. If you are doing losing line, it's like you will lose a lot of game for nothing. Sometimes you have to take risk. So always do the play that gives you the highest percentage win rate. 100% lethal is better than 99% lethal if we can die. I saw too many people, like especially in the NL meta, like in OPO 5, with Sakazuki, that complain about trigger, but this matchup was really free. It's just like, why you want to take a 99% lethal and die on a 0-cost spell last life, or die on, for example, a Capon? If you know that next turn you cannot die, and you have a biggest percentage win rate next turn. Like, keep your blocker alive, just decide to spend one more turn, and that's okay. Do you need to take the risk? That's the question. There is a lot of games that I won just because I try to bait my opponent to go for little. For example, I have a lot of 2k and I take life, and my opponent is like, okay, he has 6 cards in his 5 2k to survive, and for no reason, spend all his done and attack, and I have 5 2k on 6 cards, and he just die, and I'm like, yeah, but why you do that? You can just play a blocker, or like just keep them open, and I never kill you. You make me spend card, and you have lethal anyway next turn 100%. So really important, don't greed a little if you don't need it. Like, if you have a better chance to have lethal next turn and you cannot die, like just spend one more turn, especially against trigger deck. Okay, so this is a key part. Another key part is like, I saw people like they are literally dead on board, like it's impossible to opponent to miss, and they don't want to try lethal. Even if the lethal happen one game out of 1000, I will try it. I remember there is one game that I won. No, I lost. But I was close to one where I attack with my RP low leader. My board was a low, my leader, like a low 5k, my leader, and the Otama. And I have to attack 5, 5 with Otama, and 6. And I attack 5, 5, and 6. And it was Moria has like, I don't remember, but 6 or 7 card in hand. And it was 6 brick. And it was close to win, but I was dead anyway next turn. Like, I could have played Reiju, or I could have played like random card for nothing, like a blocker, but I would have survived one more turn, but he would have stand up his blocker, and I was like, okay, I cannot pass anymore. So really, really important, like guys, if you are dead next turn, or if your opponent has a lot of blocker rest, if it's your shot, take it. Even if it's 1% lethal, take it. It's like, it's better to have 1% lethal than being dead anyway, or like just lose the game 100% on the long run. So yeah, it's something that I see a lot. Like, a lot of players also play really defensive. Like, they always play defensive because they don't want to die. Like, don't overplay defensive. Like, if you play defensive because you don't want to die and you forgot to win, like one piece card game, you need to kill your opponent. You don't need just to survive. Except if you play Nami. We talk about real deck. So really, play to win, not play to not lose. Find always a way to try to win the game. Also, 0% lethal plus opponent misplay is better than 100% dead next turn. So, what I mean with this is like, sometimes you know that you cannot lethal. You know that you cannot lethal, and you know as well that you cannot defend. But remember, you play to win the game. You don't play to not lose. So if you go on the board and you say, okay, I still cannot kill next turn and I will be dead in 2 turns anyway, but I don't die this turn, like, I don't care about this. Like, go face, play aggressive, say, okay, I cannot kill you this turn, but I will kill you next turn. And maybe your opponent will overthink, will play defensive because he doesn't want to die, and you will punish him. But it's better to try to win, and if your opponent misplay, you win, than just never win the game. So really, really important. The risk part is, in my opinion, where player needs the most to improve and to understand what is the win condition and when they need to risk it or not. How to improve the adaptation? It's really hard. So first we will remember what we say. Where we have to attack. If we have to attack board or if we have to attack life. I would say the most of the time we will attack the base that is the more easy to attack, because it's more harder to defend a small base. But most important thing, in my opinion, if you have to remember one thing. If you can threaten little, you have to threaten little. Always. If you can threaten little, you have to attack face because your opponent has to spend card. And if he has to spend card, it will be more easier after to switch on the board. Second thing, you need a win condition every game. Like, if this win condition is like you need to top deck like the only Goldie Roger that you run, okay, play around it. If your win condition is to have a trigger last life, play around it. If your last win condition is to have free life, free 2k, play around it. But you need a win condition every game. Even if it's like 1%, take the bet. Like, it's better to have a win condition than no win condition and just you don't lose this turn, but you lose next turn. It's like worst case thing that can happen to you. Understand the value of your card in hand. Do not hesitate to spend your card to defend your board. If your board is your win condition, like, do not hesitate to go really low on card. Most of players doesn't want to go to 1 card or 0 card in hand, but if your board is your win condition, like, spend your hand. It's okay, like, we don't care. And last thing, I repeat myself, but play to win, not to not lose. One Piece card game is not a game where you don't want to lose, it's a game where you want to win the game. So, too much people play to not lose, but do not forget your opponent can misplay, your opponent can play defensive, your opponent doesn't know your hand, so even if you don't have defense, even if you don't have event, even if you don't have trigger, your opponent doesn't know. He can play defensive, he can try to go for one more turn, and it can help you to win. So always play to win, you need to have a win condition. It's the most important. How to improve? It's hard. It's hard because I don't have exercise really. I don't have something to give you like that can help you to improve. It's something that we do a lot in coaching. It's like reviewing games. And when we review games, it's like we try to see where the game fucked up. So you need practice and you need to remember if you record your game, it's really nice because you can try to remember when you lose the control of the game. Like when the game starts by being in your advantage to I'm losing the control or I'm losing the game. When you figure it out this moment, you need to understand what happened, why you lose the control of the game. What is the fact that you lose the control of the game? Is it because you didn't defend your board? Is it because you didn't pressure life? Is it because and by knowing, by understanding where you lose the control of the game, you can improve. And improving is the most important part. If you're able to improve on your adaptation, you will just become a better player. A thing that I can say you, and it looks stupid, but it's important. Take time. Take time to calculate. If you are dead, if you are against a good player, like, do not forget, you are in top cut against one of the best players, he will calculate. He will know that you are dead anyway. So if you are dead, take time to calculate. If you calculate, your opponent has calculated as well. And try to go for game. Even if it's like 5% chance it's work, like try to go for game. I remember a game against Giovanni in championship, like Liverpool championship, it was 1-1. And it was bad matchup for me. He was playing ST14, I was playing BY. And he has 6 cards in hand. And I'm dead. And I know that he know that I'm dead. And I have to go like 3 times 9, and he has 2 blocker, and he's 6k leader. And so he block, and my last 9, he need like just 4k counter in 6 card in hand, and I know he has 1-2k. So he basically need 2k in 5 card, and he doesn't have it. And I won because of this. But just, I was spotting, I was dead like anyway, because of 1k. Like I need 1 more k to survive, I didn't have it. And I know Giovanni will go for game, so I have to take my shot. So really, really important. Take time. If you're dead, go for game. And when you go to late game, like between A Dawn plus, every turn you need to ask you what is your win condition. Is your board your win condition? Is how many turns do you have? Do you have 2 turns to go for lethal, 3 turns to go for lethal? How you will win this game? It's really important. And are you in a good spot or not? Do you need to take risk or not? If you don't need to take risk, don't greed. If you need to take risk and say, okay, my next top deck is a rush, my next top deck is a 2k, my next top deck is a blocker, go for it. It will be the best way to improve your win rate. Not talk about little part. It's a really important part because most of the game, if you want to win, you have to little your opponent. Easy. And how to little in a good way, the best way possible, it's what we will see here. So, we'll talk about when your opponent has few cards in hand. So it will be the most easy part. After we will see when your opponent has 0 life, what is the rule that we have to do. When our opponent has 1 life, when he has 1 blocker, when he has done open, and how to improve our little. So with few cards in hand, if there is no done open, what is really easy to understand is like 1 card represents a maximum of 2k counter. So if your opponent has 1 card in hand and you go for 7k, if it's a 5k leader and you go with a 7k attack, your opponent cannot defend because 1 card represents a maximum of 2k. So let's see an example if our opponent has 1 card in hand and 2 life. How to go for little is like quite easy. Like we said, if we go 7, our opponent cannot defend because he has only 1 card. He will take 1 life and he will have 2 cards in hand. After we will go 9, so our opponent has a maximum of 4k counter, so he has to take. And after he has 3 cards, and if we go 11, our opponent can defend only with 6k maximum, so we have little. And we can do quite the same with 5. If we got multiple attack, we can go with 5. Our opponent can defend or can take. If he takes after 5, we can go 9, 11, for example. But we can also, if he defend, just go 5. And after he has to take because he has 0 card in hand. And after we go 7, he has 2 cards in hand and we can go 9 and it's little. So you can, by knowing that, you can abuse with different type of increasing attack or just to put a lot of small attack to make your opponent use card in hand. But really easy to understand. Sometimes you have mathematically little, so you just need to focus about how many counter your opponent can have. And if it's not enough, it's not enough. So we will see if our opponent has 0 life. And it's something really easy, but there is only one thing you need to understand. When your opponent has 0 life and no done open, only one thing, even if he has done open, the only thing you need to focus on is the 1k counter check. So what does it mean? It means if your opponent is a 5k leader, the only thing that you need to do is to have the maximum attack with, how to say, on odd number. So if it's 5k leader, odd number will be you want to go 5 on 5, 7 on 5, 9 on 5, 11 on 5, 15 on 5, whatever, but just odd number. And you can make attack your 4k body as well with 5. Just because it's odd number. Obviously, you will not make attack your 3k body because you will lose done. You will use 2 done to make attack a 5k, a 3k from 3k to 5k. So your opponent just need to use 1k counter, so it's not useful because you use 2 dot. But 4k it works. But it also works if you go for a 6k body, for example, 6k leader if you play against Newgate. So you will do the 1k counter check. You will not go 5 or 7, you will go 6 because the Newgate is 6. So you will go with even number. So 6, 8, 10, etc. Why this 1k counter check is important? It's important because what happens if your opponent doesn't have 1k? If your opponent doesn't have 1k, he will most likely counter with 2k. And if he counter with 2k, we can say that he over counter the attack, and it's quite good for us because it's not efficient for him. So it means that he used too much counter, and maybe the fact that he used too much counter on this attack will allow us to little with the other attack because he will have less counter. So that's why we always try to do the 1k counter check. One life. One life is really interesting setup because I feel like most of people didn't calculate and didn't think about how to go for lethal when your opponent has one life. And it's really easy. It's really easy because there is methods that are clear and you can be sure that it works this way. So you have only 2 attacks. You have your leader and, for example, the Nami. Your opponent has 1 life. And you have the choice. You can go 10-10 or you can go 9-11. What do you choose? I'll let you think. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to go 9-11 or do you prefer to go 10-10? There is no don't open. Like just counter it now. And the answer is there is no good answer for now because it depends on different things. Let's focus on this case. If you go 10-10, obviously our opponent will take the first 10 because there is no reason to defend the first one if we know that you have to go for little. And he will try to defend the second 10 with taking the life. So it asks for 6k counter with 7 card in hand. If we come back here, our opponent has 6 card in hand, we attack 10, he takes the life. So we go with another 10 and he asks for 6k with 7 card in hand. If we go 9-11, we will ask for 7k counter if he takes the life. So it means that he will need 7k counter with 7 card. Or if he wants to counter the 9, he will need 5k counter with 6 card. One thing really important is the 1k in life does change nothing. I will try to explain you. Let's say we attack 10-10. Our opponent takes the first 10 and he takes the life, and the life is a 1k counter. Okay? So we attack 10 again and he defends and it's 1k close. So we can say the 1k make him win the game. But let's think. It means that he used 6k counter and he gained because of 1k. But do you agree that if he has 6k counter in hand with 7 cards and his last life is a 1k, it would have meant that with 6 cards he has 5k counter. So the 1k doesn't change anything because when we attack 9 here, he would have defend with the 5k counter. So in both cases, we would have lose. And let's focus if we win. Like if our opponent has exactly, we go 9 and he has exactly 9. So he cannot defend the 9. And the last life is 1k. So he cannot defend the 10 because he has only 10. But if we go 10-10, he would have 10 and he cannot defend the 2-10. So the 1k doesn't change in this kind of setup. So there is only one thing that matters. What matters is like, does the life has more possibility, more chance to be a 2k counter, or does the life has more chance to be a non-counter card? And depending on if the card has more chance to be a 2k or a non-counter card, we will go 10-10 or we will go 9-11. If the card has more chance to be a non-counter card, we will go 10-10. If the card has more chance to be a 2k, we will go 9-11. And you will say me, yes, but how do we know if it has more chance to be 2k or non-counter? And it's really easy. What you need is knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of your opponent deck. For example, if your opponent deck has 12 2k and 20 non-counter cards, you check the trash, there is 2 2k in the trash, 2 non-counter cards in the trash. What's the life has the most chance to be? A 2k or a non-counter card? Yes, indeed. The card has more chance to be a non-counter card because there is 18 non-counter card remaining against 10 2k counter. So this is how you will proceed to know if you go 10-10, 9-11, or same, if you go like 7-9 or 8-8. This is how you will proceed. How many 2k counter my opponent ran, how many non-counter my opponent ran, you check the trash, you check your information, and you see, okay, there is more 2k or there is more non-counter, and you decide, and you adapt. So really easy. Remember this, 10-10, 9-11, only one thing matter, is like if the life is a 2k or if the life is a non-counter card. Okay, so now if we have more than 2 attacks, for example, here we have 3 attacks. One thing really important is to do, if possible, the same attack, the same power attack. And it's really important because here, if you don't go 9-9-9, you just lose counter. Because if you go 9-9-9, your opponent will have to take his life on 9. So obviously, after, remember, if he defends the first 9, you will have the choice to go 8-10 or 9-9. But you want to do the same attack, 9-9-9, because if you go lower, for example, if I start with 10, my opponent can decide to just defend the 7, and after I will go with bigger attack, and my opponent will take on a bigger attack. So it means that his life will tank a biggest attack. So it will save him a best amount of counter. We can do some calculation if you want. I go 9-9-9. My opponent, to win, need to defend 2-9. So if it's a 5k leader, he will need 5k plus 5k, it's 10k. So we will need 10k. If we start with 7 with Okiku, for example, my opponent defend, he will need 3k counter. And after I still have 9 done remaining. So what I can do is like 9 done remaining, I can put 1 done here, so it's 6-6, and after 4 done on Gedatsu, 4 done on NL, so it's 10-10. So I can go 7, he defend, he need 3k counter, and after I go 10, he takes the life, and I go 10 again, and he need 6k counter to defend the 10. So remember, 6k counter to defend the 10, and 3k counter to defend the 7. 6 plus 3 is 9, so he need 9k counter to defend, and if we go 9-9-9, he need 10k counter. So you see, by starting 7, we basically lose 1k counter. And we know that in One Piece, 1k counter, it's really important. Like a lot of games are 1k close. So don't forget, in this type of lethal, you want to do the same attack power. Because if you attack too small, your opponent will defend. And what if we attack too big? For example, we can say, okay, we will start with 11, with Gedatsu, and like this, after we can threaten another 11. Okay, let's calculate. You go 11 with Gedatsu, your opponent will take life. He take life, and after you can go 11 with Kikunojo and 5. So you will go 5 with NL, you will defend with 1k, and after you go 11 with Kikunojo. How many counter you need to defend the 11? Yes, indeed, you need 7k counter. So the 7 plus 1 is 8k counter. So to win, our opponent need 8k counter. And if we compare to 999, 8k is less than 10k. So the rule that I will give you, that will help you in this kind of setup, is you want to have equal power on all your attack. Obviously, it's on all your attack that can attack. Like if you have a 0 power, you will not do 5, 5, 6, 5. Okay? Here, everything can attack, everything has enough power, so you want to split in the same way. Because if you split in the same way, your opponent cannot take advantage on when to take life. He will need to take life on 9, and it means that he will not gain counter by defending small attack or by taking a big swing. Okay? Let's continue with a one life setup. So here you have the example. You have free attack. You want to do same power. You can go 10, 10, 11. So we will start with 10, and after we will start with 10, and we will finish with 11. Don't start with 11. If you start with 11, what will happen? I'll let you 10 seconds. Yes, indeed. If you start with 11, and your opponent take time to calculate, and he will take time because good player will calculate, he will take the 11. He will take the 11, and after he will just try to defend the 10. So do not forget, everything that I teach you here on how to go for little, you need to remember that it's also really useful when you want to defend yourself from little. Okay? It's something that you have to use when you will try to defend a little as well. So here we go 10, 10, 11. And if we talk about sequencing, do not forget, if our Gedatsu can die, and if we have to go for little anyway, and if we know that our Gedatsu can die on a trigger, we start swinging 10 with Gedatsu. If there is no trigger, we start swinging 10 with ace to not give information to our opponent. So it will really depend. Though we are, we have to play around trigger or not. If our opponent do play trigger, we have to play with Gedatsu 10 first. If our opponent doesn't play trigger, we can attack 10 first with ace. Because like this, we don't give information. Our opponent doesn't know, but maybe we can play another 10 cost ace. Okay, now it's really interesting. And it's something that even at really, really high level, I see that there is a lot of mistake. And I think this rule saved me so many games. I won so many games in tournament just because of this. And it's really easy. You just need practice. When you have this kind of setup, you have Katakuri on the board, Shirahoshi, and Enel. Don't do the same attack. Like, you are aware that Shirahoshi is a 0 power, so it's not useful to put 7 down on her to attack 7 with her. But with a good sequencing and with a good calculation, maybe we can make this Shirahoshi attack and help us to win. So I will present you a method that I use on how to go for little with this kind of setup. So how to go for little? First, what I will advise you to do, this is my method and this is what I use in tournament to calculate how to go for little, is like, I will decide to ignore Shirahoshi. Everything that is really low power, I will decide to ignore, and I will split with only my 2 biggest attacks. So I will start with Katakuri and my NL leader. and I will consider, okay, I can swing 11 with my katakuri, and after I can swing 12. So 11, 12, my opponent has to take the 11, because if he doesn't take, I can make my Shirahoshi attack. So for example, I will explain you, but when you defend, it's really important that if you know your opponent swing 11, 12, to take the 11 in this situation, because if you defend the 11, it asks you 7k counter, and you have 7 done remaining, so it means that I can attack 6 with Shirahoshi and 6 with NL. So you will need 2k counter more. So it's even more than defending just a 12. So opponent take life on 11k swing. After, we attach everything on NL, so we go 12, and the 12k swing asks for 8k counter. So 11, 12 ask 8k counter. So from now, I have a base of comparison. So I will use the decreasing method. This is something that I name the decreasing method because it's how my brain functions. I start with 11, 12. I will decrease my starting attack. I start with 11. Now let's calculate with 10. So I will start with 10 with Katakuri, and the thing I calculate is like, if my opponent take life from 10, starting with 10 is just better than starting with 11, because he take on a smaller swing. So if he takes 10, it's 10, 13, and 13 to counter, he need 9k counter. So now let's calculate if he defends. If he defends the 10, defending the 10 asks for 6k counter. But after, I still have done remaining, I have 8 done remaining. So I can go 6 with Shirahoshi and 7 with Mayana. So he will need to defend the 6, 2k counter. If he cannot and want to take the life, he will need to defend the 7, so 9k counter. So basically, he will need to defend 8k counter without seeing his life, or 9k counter if he sees his life. So it's really important because here it's already better than 11, 12. It's better because if he takes life, he will need 1k more counter. So we just need 1k. If the game is 1k close, we win because of this split. So now we found a better method. So we know that 10, 13 or 10, 6, 7 is just better than 11, 12. If I have to mention something, notice that defending the 10 or taking the 10 and try to defend the 13 is exactly the same. You will need 9k counter with the life, except if you already have 8k, you can defend the 10 and after defend the 6. But this 10, 13 is better than 11, 12. So now we have to continue the method. If we start finding a better solution than the previous one, we have to continue the method until we have a worse result. So let's continue. You see, I re-put it 10, 13 or 10, 6, 7. It asks for 9k counter seeing the life or 8k without seeing the life. So let's decrease. We start attacking with 10. Let's start attacking with 9. So 9, we can go 9, 14. So if he takes the 9, we go 14, it asks for 10k counter. So our opponent has to defend the 9. Defending the 9 is 5k counter. So after we can split 7, 7. 7, 7, you agree that I can just take the first 7 to try to defend the last 7. And the last 7, we see the life, and it asks for 3k counter. 5 plus 3 is 8k. So 9, 7, 7 asks for 8k counter, and we see the life. So the result is worse than the previous one. So we can stop the decreasing method, and we have now find the best way on how to go for little. And the answer is 10, 13 or 10, 6, 7 if our opponent defend. So it's just a summarize here. 9, 7, 7 is worse than the previous result. It's what I just said earlier. And now we stop. We stop. We don't need to calculate with 8. we don't need to calculate we start to 7. It doesn't work like this. We stop because we have found the better result. If when you start to decrease your method, if you found a worse result, you can stop and just take the previous. So the best way to go for little is 10, 6, 7, and if our opponent takes the 10, 10, 13. And also, I didn't say it, but really, really, really important. When your opponent has to go for little, you have to calculate as well the same thing. Here, I saw too many people in this case, for example, we know my opponent has to go 11, 12, and they just defend the 11 because they cannot defend the 12. They need 2k in life. But it's a big mistake, because if you defend the 11, after your opponent will just go 6, 6 and you are dead anyway, or 5, 7 and you are dead anyway. So really, really important. Calculate also, because if your opponent start too big, you can take the attack. If your opponent start too small, you can defend. So take time to calculate this, and like this you know exactly if you have to counter or if you have to take life. So here we found the best result, 10, 6, 7 is the best way to go for little. So let's talk about blocker. If there is 0 life and 1 blocker, listen, 0 life, 1 blocker, it's really easy. It's exactly the same method. It's exactly the same method. Like you use the method of 1 life, you do the calculation, and you will find the best result. Force yourself to do the calculation. It's not because the method is the same that the result will be the same. The result can be different. Like, really, trust me, I remember one tournament where I was a little bit lazy and I calculate this a lot of time. And I was in this situation and I said, okay, I have to go like 10, 6, 7 because 1 life is exactly the same as 1 blocker. No, the method was the same, but the result was not the same. And I lose because of 1k, and just because I didn't take time to calculate, and it would have been better to start 9. But anyway, so really, just force yourself to do the calculation, and it's really easy. If you do it, you will know exactly how to go for little when your opponent has 1 life, when your opponent has 0 life and 1 blocker, and it will gain you a lot of game. Don't open. Okay. Don't open is one of the hardest thing to face in One Piece when you have to go for little. Why? It's because don't open is for event, and most of the time the event are plus 3k or plus 4k. And the problem is when we want to go for little, a lot of times we like to go with 7k or 8k swing. And the problem with don't open is like these swing are less efficient. So when there is don't open, we will most of the time will go with small swing, like 5 or 6k swing, or we will go with big swing, 9 or plus. So when and why we would go for 5, 6k attack? The goal of attacking 5 or 6 when there is don't open is to force our opponent to use an event or a smaller swing. So if we have a lot of swing, or if our opponent doesn't have a lot of card, we can make a bet that our opponent doesn't have 2k, or we cannot beat, if we cannot beat 2k plus event, we have to make a bet that our opponent has event but not 2k, and we will do with 6k swing on 5k leader. And like this, maybe he has to use like plus 3 or plus 4k on 6k swing. 7k swing, I also want to mention, can be good swing versus plus 4k event, because it has 2 cards if it doesn't want to use event. And using plus 4k on 7 is still not that bad for us, but it depends on how many attack we have. But really important, and the thing that I want you to remind, if we can beat event plus 2kn, do not hesitate to do 6k swing. Yes, it can look stupid because your opponent can only defend with a 2k, but don't forget, If you don't beat 2k plus event, we don't care. Like, say your opponent doesn't have 2k. When to use 9k plus attack? Alors, we can use 9k attack because if our opponent wants to use an event, he will need to use another card to defend the 9k attack. Also, we can start with a 9k attack because if our opponent takes the life, we can go with a bigger swing. I don't know, for example, we can go 9k, and after if he takes, we can go like 15, and maybe cannot defend the 15. And what is nice is like, if he need to defend the 9k, so he will use event plus something. After this, we can decrease. We can start 9, he use event, and after we go 7. Like we decrease the amount of the attack. And also we can do big swing if we say, okay, if he has event, we lose anyway. Because we don't have enough attack. For example, if we have only 2 attack, and we cannot beat an event, don't play around event. It's always the same. What is really important is you have to find a way to win. And you have to understand how to win the game. If your opponent has everything, and you can win against everything, play against everything. If you cannot, just say, okay, make a bet, he doesn't have 2k or he doesn't have event. From my experience, when people keep Dawn open, most of the time they have the event. Maybe I'm wrong, but from my experience, it's what happened. So when people keep Dawn open in a deck that contain event, I will most of the time try to go with 6k attack and say, okay, maybe you don't have 2k. But like I said, it's my experience. It's not math here. It's just, if you want to play around the fact that he has 2k and no event, you can do it. It's up to you. So how to improve on Little? It's really, really easy how to improve. So first thing, I will just mention you what to remember. Maximum 2k for one card if there is no Dawn open. If there is 0 life, 0 blocker, we want to use the rule of 1k check. If we have multiple attack, we want on 1 life, we want to use the same attack power because we don't want our opponent to defend small attack or to take life on a big attack. The decreasing method, when you have a small body on the board, don't forget that your small body can give you the victory. So don't forget, you first calculate with 2 big swing, and after you use the decreasing method. And like this, you can find the best way to go for Little. Blocker, you use the decreasing method, exactly the same. It doesn't mean the result will be the same, but the method is the same. And Dawn open, you have to choose between small or big swing and what you can beat and what you cannot beat. How to improve? It's really easy, guys. Don't be lazy and just practice. Like how to go for Little, like there is a lot of way to practice. Like you screen about state and you calculate. You screen about state, you calculate. Screen about state, you calculate. Okay, I'm nice with you. I will give you some exercise. So here, really easy exercise. 5 cards in each hand. 2 Dawn open. We have 10 Dawn. We don't have rush in hand. How you go for Little here? I hope this exercise is easy for you. I hope this exercise remember you something. If it's not the case, take time to calculate. I will not correct it in this masterclass. If you want to find the answer of this exercise, do not hesitate to join our Discord. It will be in the description, and there is discussion about this Little. Okay, so you can put pause and try to focus on this exercise. Another exercise, how to go for Little. We have 10 Dawn, 0 life, 0 blocker for your opponent, and he has a lot of cards in hand, 9, 10. How to go the most efficient way to Little with this. How to go for Little against RP Luffy, 8k leader. We have this board. Don't forget that our Luffy is not a 6k body, is a 8k body. How to go for Little? 1 Dawn open, only 2 cards in hand. I'll let you put pause if you want to work on this exercise, and same, the answer is in the Patreon Discord, and do not hesitate as well to ask in comments. We can now focus on a new subject like the deck list, deck building, the resource I use, and how I practice. So we will first start with resources that I use. And I want to mention, don't forget everything is free. Like all content I present you are totally free, so you can use it if you like it. Another thing, I will probably forget resources. There is probably resources that I don't use and that are really good. Do not hesitate to mention in comment if you like, there is YouTube, if there is like some channel that you like and that are really useful for you, mention it. Do not hesitate to mention it in comment. The video will be public anyway. So first, and the most important for me, I know not all players use it, but for me it's the most important resource, is the theme. And the theme has been made by Maebatsu. So thank you. It's like really functional. It's a really good tool. And if you want to use it, I put the link tree of Maebatsu here. Do not hesitate to check it. But it's a tool that I use to practice. So do not hesitate. The second website I use the most is Limitless. In my opinion, this website is amazing. It allows you to have a lot of data, and it allows you to search for stats, for different deck lists, for different like uh, representation, like which deck is the most played, which deck is not that much played, which card is the most played in which deck, like what are the current deck lists. I really love I really love this website. I use it a lot. If there is like some player that you want to follow, for example, you can go to the ranking and see what the player is playing. For example, you are a fan of Jonas, you can click on Jonas and see, okay, right now Jonas is playing Doflamingo, so Doflamingo is probably a good deck. Which list he use? Okay, last event he used this list, but next event he used a new list, so maybe he think the list is most useful now without Josu or with Josu. So really, this website for me is amazing, and this is the one where I use a lot when there is a lot of tournament to prepare myself to have some knowledge about the deck list that are currently running people. So yeah, do not hesitate. It's a really good website. Another website that I use, it's more about in early meta. I will use it in early meta when I don't know which deck are played, what are the deck lists of the new deck, new expansion. It's because I can follow the Japan and East meta. So it helped me to have more information and to have what are the winning lists in East. So like this, we can have a base, a consistency list. After we can try to adapt to our format. Same, you can choose on deck profile here. You can choose which deck if there is like one deck that you are interested in, for example, Lim, Shanks. And you will see all the Lim leader, all the Shanks leader that got a result. So it's an interesting one. Eggman Event. Eggman Event also is a really good website. I mentioned it earlier because of the deck builder, but there is also event coverage. And it's not only One Piece, so if you play other card game, you can use it as well. But I mostly use it for One Piece. And you can click on the event. And what I like on this website is also when you see a tournament result, you can click on the deck, like the guy who finished first or the guy who finished second, and you will have access immediately to the deck list. So this is another website that you can use. And this is the only website that I use for Decklist. After, I use some YouTube channel that, in my opinion, are really good. So this is the official One Piece card game channel. This is where you can find World Championship, where you can find Japanese tournament. So I really like the quality of Japanese tournament. We can see the end, like it's really fluent. I really like it. But the only problem is like it's most of the time in Europe during the night or early in the morning. But I think you can watch it in replay anyway. It's on YouTube. So do not hesitate, check it out. Every time I put you the link below. I will put you also the link in description, in comment. So if you want, you can just click in the comment section. Kai, I Kai like Kai. This is one of my friends, and in my opinion, it's the best YouTube content in One Piece. At least when I say the best, do not forget that it's my opinion. It doesn't mean that because it's my opinion, it doesn't mean that I'm the truth. Like it's what I advise to you, but you can disagree, and you can like other content creator, and it's okay. Like there is no problem. It's just I really like the Kai channel because it's really high quality gameplay, and it's really educational. I like also how the video is done. It's like really smooth and really easy to watch. So do not hesitate to check. Like really, really good content, in my opinion. I check also Eggman, the Eggman channel. I really like. I know he play about different card game and he make video on different card game. But for me, what is interesting for me is more about tournament report. I mostly watch only tournament report and decklist because he present all the report of the tournament, but most important, he presents the different deck that are surprising, that made some like how to say. It's weird to see this deck in top, and he presents the deck that we have seen in top. For example, some Belobeti, Red Yellow Sabo, like some spicy deck, we will say. And I really like it. So I watch his tournament report. Clyde, yeah, I also watch a lot of Clyde video. He's in YouTube with Jonas, and in my opinion, there are two of the best world player. It's really high quality knowledge. In my opinion, this is the best knowledge that you can have, and they are, in my opinion, two of the best player in the world. So I enjoy watching high quality game. So that's why I watch most of the video of Clyde. Orange Samurai, I like also, but it's more about tournament report and also vlog. I really like the vlog of Orange. It's like he's someone that go a lot to tournament, and he will have a lot of tournament report, a lot of deck lists available, and also I really like the vibes of Orange. He's like a really nice guy, and he do a lot for the community and to help people to find deck list. His Twitter, his X account is really really nice. Also, he retweets a lot of deck lists, so do not hesitate to follow him on Twitter as well. I will put everything in description for this section. Luigi Amato, so it's one of the only European YouTuber right now. He's presenting most of the time tournament report in Italy, so there is good local in Italy, and there is like one of the best player in the world, Johnny, who is Italian, and I think he's in the same local than Luigi. So I like to see good lists. So do not hesitate to watch his channel. It's like he presents a lot of different deck, and as usual, it's free, so it costs nothing. And also, I use a lot No Heroes because No Heroes first is one of the best organizer tournament with OPE in Europe. So it's a very high quality tournament. And what I like the most is they have NCL right now, so they do NCL Italy and they do NCL Germany. So you can see, you can watch a league with best player from Italy and best player from Germany. And sometimes we cast some game with Trek on their channel. And I really like it because it allows me to see different deck lists, to see different play. And even if I disagree sometimes with the best player, it's a good way to compare myself and to try to improve, like to see why this player think this way, why they do this way, and it's a really good way to improve. So do not hesitate to check also No Heroes channel. Practice tips. How I practice, how I use different tips for my deck building or thing like this. The tech card. How to train a tech card. And what is a tech card? A tech card is something that will help you to win a matchup, a specific matchup. So for example, if we are in a kid meta, a tech card for a blue deck could be Red Rock, because Red Rock will answer the kid, and that can be a really good answer. So this is what is a tech card. But how we train with a tech card? I have two methods that I use, and it's the Joker card and the specific card. So Joker card is like, I play with a card without, with the back of the card. I play with the back of the card, and I use it with the card I want. For example, if I want to say this card is a Red Rock, I say this card is a Red Rock. If I want to say this card is a Gravity Blade, this card is a Gravity Blade. I do like this, and I see which card I use the most. For example, if in 20 game I use the card 18 times as a Red Rock and 2 times as a Gravity Blade, I will deduce, okay, Red Rock will be most useful. So this is how I use the Joker card. Specific card is like, I remove four cards of my deck. And when I need it, I put one card from my hand at the bottom of my deck, and I take the specific card. I want to do this because I want to see, is it the card really impactful or not? Because if the card is not impactful at its best moment, it means that we doesn't need to use this card in our deck. Because you have to understand that I use this card in the best way possible, because I take it when I need it, and when I don't need it, I don't have it in my hand. And see, if even in this case, when I need it, I use it, I still lose the game, I mean, I will not play this card in my deck. So this is another way to test the card. If when I use it, when I need it, I win the game, I will try a new method where I put it in my deck, and now I see, do I see it enough or not at the right moment? So I will repeat myself, but it's important for you to understand. Testing a tech card. If the card doesn't make you win the matchup in testing at the best condition possible, remove it. Really important. It's like, okay, the card can be good. Like, if you red rock the kid, and it's a good play, but you still lose the matchup, like, why you play this card? Why do you play a bad card if even when it do the best ability possible, you still lose the game? Like, don't play this card. If the card make you win the matchup, like I said, really important, don't forget that testing a tech card, you have to test it in real game. Like this, you can see if the card is really as much powerful as you think. And also, really important, it's not because you improve a matchup that the card is good. You can improve a matchup, but your other matchup become way more bad. So if you improve one matchup, but three of the other matchup very present become harder, maybe it's not a good deal. So you have to figure it out, the good adjustment between this. So knowledge is the key. Really important in my training, and it's something that I understand really lately. Like, I would say I understand this only since 2 or 3 months, is like to play different deck. I was the type of guy that play only one deck or two deck because I only want to play best deck. But since 2, 3 months, I play quite every deck, and it allowed me to understand that I gain a lot of knowledge, and it helped me a lot to become a better player because I understand how the deck win, how the deck lose, and also the more important, I can evaluate if I'm in a good or bad spot. And if I'm in a good or bad spot, I will take one line or another line that can help me to win. So really important in your practice, try to practice a lot of deck. Even if it's not like, I don't say you to practice like 100 game, but having 4, 5 game on every deck, it's quite important because it will help you your end reading, your mulligan, how to go for little, what are the cards in the deck, how many 2K in the deck, how many bricks, what is the key card, etc., etc. So really, really important, in my opinion. Let's finish this masterclass with the last chapter. And in my opinion, one important chapter, the mental part. Like most of people underestimate the mental in card game. And I learned it when I was learning poker, and the mental is something that can be really, really useful. Um, to have A game, so A game is like your best game possible, and also to have good condition tournament. So in this chapter, we will see like most player think they have to win and they forgot that to accept to lose, how to fight your ego, the imposter syndrome, and good condition tournament. So have to win, why? And why not accept to lose? First thing, and in my opinion, it's really, really important. It's a game. Like never forget, it's just a game. Okay, there is some money involved, but you don't have to play card game to win money. Like it's a game. Like if you play card game to win money, you have to remember that most of the player will never win money with card game. You play card game because you enjoy the game and because you meet new people, because you travel, but you don't play to have a job with it. At least not when you begin. And even when you're a competitor, it's really, really hard. To be honest, since I was a teacher, I was math teacher, and when I stopped my job to focus on card game, I feel really better and I felt way stronger as well when I start thinking it's just a game. If I win or if I lose, I don't care. What is important is like I enjoy the game and I do my best. So that's why I want to explain you this. You have to act on the thing that you can control. And what can you control? Enjoying the game is one of important thing. When you don't enjoy the game, it can be quite hard, even if you win. I remember, I will talk about my experience. It doesn't mean that it's the experience of everyone. But when I won European Championship with BY, the tournament after I went to semi-final, and the tournament after I went to top 16. I made 3 top cuts in a row, and I was in a really good shape. But after this third tournament, it was probably the worst period for me. It's like I suffer a lot because I didn't enjoy the game anymore, and I forced myself to record video, and it was not a really funny moment. But after I stopped for 1 month and I feel way better because I started enjoying the game again. So really enjoy the game is really, really important. Do your best. Doing your best is what you can do. Every tournament, you can do your best, and that's okay. Sometimes doing your best will be not enough to have the result that you want to have. Sometimes it will be better than the result that you want to have. But it's only the thing that you can do. Do your best, learn. Really important to learn, like learn from your mistake, learn from everything from other people, and make friends. Like One Piece, the community is really nice, and I'm really lucky. I made so many friends from One Piece, and it's not dependent on the level of the player. Like I met so many friends in round one that play only one tournament each year, and I travel with them. I visit them in holidays. So really, people are nice. So be nice with people, and hopefully you will make friends. What you cannot control, you can have some objective, like some goal, but you cannot control. Your happiness should not be determined by your goal. Like for example, win a tournament, X top year, X top in 1 year, like the random, the level of your opponent. This is things that you cannot control. I really don't focus. Like if you don't win a tournament, it doesn't mean that you are bad. It doesn't mean that the game is bad. It doesn't mean that you didn't enjoy your tournament. Like there is a lot of things that happen in tournament, so don't focus too much on the result. For me, it's really important. If you play well, if you spend good moment, you learn, you become a better player. It's like it's a good tournament. Like it's really important to understand this. The result doesn't matter after the tournament. Of course, when you play to win, you play because you want to top, you want to win tournament, you want to go to World Championship. But it's not the matter of one game, it's not the matter of one tournament. This you can focus on 1 year, 2 years, 10 years to say, okay, this is my objective and I want to do this. But you cannot like each tournament say, if I don't win this tournament, it will be a bad tournament. It's not how it works. So it's why you have to make a difference, a clear line between your goals and what makes you happy. Okay, your goals is a long-term things. Like win a tournament, make top 8, top 64, become world champion, become the best player. For example, this is my goal. My goal is to become world champion. I failed. This year I failed. And for the first time in like 1 year and a half in One Piece, I felt really, really bad. After World Championship, I felt really down, and I felt like I don't know how to say like if I was the worst player or really I was really in a bad mood because that was my goal, and it also sadly become my happiness. Like become world champion during the tournament become not only my goal but why I play this tournament. And that was the problem because like I said here in this video, and even for world championship I should have do the same. It's like when I play a tournament, my goal is not to win, my goal is to do my best, to learn, meet new friends. And the thing is I didn't do that during world championship. I did my best, I didn't want to learn, and I didn't met that much new player because I was only focused on the result, and that was my bad. So this is something that I will change because my goal remain to become world champion. My goal remain to go back to world championship. But now, really a clear line between goal and happiness. Happiness during a tournament, you did your best, you learn, you made new friend. This is all what matter. Other goal is long term. Fight your ego. Ego is really important in card game because most of people overestimate their skill. Most of people think after some result they are the best player, or when they play a deck a lot, they think they are the best player in this deck, or they think that cannot make mistake. And this is, in my opinion, a big mistake. Like there is a Dunning-Kruger effect that you can watch here. It's like confidence at the top and knowledge at the bottom. It's like when you learn something, you acquire knowledge and you gain a lot of confidence because you become a better player. So for example, you learn you learn DY, or you learn Doflamingo, you make top 8, you become a better player, you have the result, and you gain overconfidence because you feel like, okay, I'm one of the best, I made top, but your knowledge is not that high. That's the thing that you need to understand. We are here, and when you are here, your knowledge is not that high, but you have confidence. The problem with that is like after you will face like 2, 3, 4, 5 tournaments where you will not top or you will not win, and your confidence will decrease, decrease, and you will like you will think that you are a less good player or you are a worse player than before. But the real thing is like you cry in knowledge. And the only thing that is important is knowledge. Because here you have less confidence, but you are more competent than here. So it's something that happens a lot, especially when you start winning. And when you start winning, after you start not winning again, you will lose confidence, but you get knowledge. And what is important is like, there is a difference between good player and the best player here at this moment. When you are down and you have a lack of confidence, what is important is, okay, you need to work, you need to learn. And if you continue to learn, you continue to learn, you will gain more confidence, still become better and better. But you see, here you have less confidence than at the top of before. And the thing is, you know that here, even if you are an expert, even if you are really good, you know that you need to learn. And in my opinion, it's the most important thing in the game. Like even best player, we talk a lot. I will take an example, like before World Championship, I spent a lot of time with Hervoy and Fabi, 2 World Championship contenders last year. And we spend a lot of time talking about BY. And this is a deck that we play like since months and months and months, like more than 6 months. And we are quite expert in the deck. But like the last 2 weeks before World Championship, we learn things. We learn new way to play the mirror. Like it's crazy. Like we learn new way to play the mirror. And we spend a lot of time and we spend like all our life to play BY. But after like so many practice and so many discussion, we learn new things, and that's crazy. But why we learn is because we understand that we are a good player, but it doesn't matter. What matters is like how to become better. And this is the way that you need to fight, how to fight your ego. It's like even if you're already good, like you can already won everything. What matters is like how you will become a better version of yourself next day, or a better version for this matchup, or a better version for this leader, etc., etc. Really important to try to improve. So a thing that I noticed between different players, and something that I won't see a lot in top player, is like thing in red cycle. Like I don't see a lot of top players saying that they are unlucky, or they talk about top deck, or about trigger last life, or about bad draw, or about opponent nuts. It's like, because like we said earlier, is like it's thing that we cannot control. Like we cannot control this. So if we cannot control, why spend time to talk about this? Like why spend energy? Like why spend time during tournament, like you have game remaining, to talk about this? Okay, like you got trigger last life, it happened, like we don't care, go next. I don't want to spend my energy to talk about this and to think about this when I have game remaining. A lot of things that most of player will talk, most of top player, and even in top cut, I was a little bit shocked when I start the game, and I was not top player, I was just like 2 weeks or 3 weeks learning the game. I was in Netherlands, and I just lost my top 16 match of Top Cut, and my friend David Ponces lost in top 4. He was playing Red Green Low against Red Zoro. And Red Green Low is a really hard matchup against Zoro. Like Zoro is really good against Red Green Low because Zoro was playing Fire Fist. It was 1-1, and the third game, like the Zoro got 3 Fire Fist that destroy all the low board. And David was close to win, but sadly Zoro top decked the last Fire Fist, so his fourth Fire Fist, and managed to win the game with the fourth Fire Fist. The first thing when David lost was, I'm sorry, I should have played around the fourth Fire Fist because I could have win. He never think about, he top deck the fourth Fire Fist, like really lucky to have 4 Fire Fists because it's the best card in the matchup. His first thing was, I should have played around the fourth Fire Fist. And you see, it's really important, like the thinking process. It's like, we don't care about what happened. We care about what we could have changed. So we will most of the time think about micro optimization, like, can I do anything different? Like, is there something, when I lose a game and I don't understand why I lose, most of the time I ask my opponent, like, what was weird in your opinion? Especially I ask a lot when I play against Nami, because I have some trouble to play against Nami, and now I feel better. Was my game plan bad or good? Maybe my game plan was bad. Did I find a solution or not? What was the problem? This is question that top player will most likely ask every game to see if they can improve, if they can change things. Because like we say, we cannot change the result of one game, but we can change our level for next tournament or for next game. So, one thing really important, don't blame luck. Luck, it's part of card game, and it's important. Like, really important, you cannot complain about losing against someone that you consider weaker than you. Because if you face someone that is stronger than you, will you be happy to win or not? If the answer is yes, you will be happy to win against someone better than you. Be okay, like don't be sad to lose against someone weaker than you. For example, I won against Giovanni in important match. Overall, Giovanni is a better player than me. Like, there is no doubt about this, but it doesn't mean that because he is better than me overall, on the game he was better than me, or I didn't play a good game, etc., etc. So really, don't blame luck, and don't blame the fact that you can win or lose against someone that is like stronger or weaker than you. It's part of card game. If you don't want luck, like, you can go to play chess, and that's okay. And that's also the beauty of card game, in my opinion. Like, to have good top deck, good trigger, it's like, it's part of the game. What is important, I repeat, and it's a word that in our Patreon is really important, is learn. Learn. And there is a sentence that I forgot to mention here, that is really important. I will come back here because learn to fail and don't fail to learn. Learning is the most important thing in card game, because the meta will evolve, everything will evolve, people will become better and better. What will make you better is to learn, to improve. If you don't accept to fail, it will not work. You will be like really sad, unhappy, and it won't function. But learn to fail and don't fail to learn. It's really important. So we can come back here. One thing also important, we can blame luck, but we saw that it's always the same people who win. Like, if you look this year, like, Jonas won so many tournaments, Impact went on so many top cuts, Giovanni won like 4 regional or 5 regional, sorry. Arman made so many top cuts. Clyde qualified back to World Championship. It's like always same people. You will see always same people, like, at the top level. And why? It's because they train, like, they improve, and they are consistent. And they play more game. Like, the more game you play, less the variance will have an impact. So really important, if you play a lot of tournaments and you don't success in any tournament, don't blame luck. Sometimes you are unlucky, but the difference is like top player, when they are lucky, they will take the opportunity. And when they are not lucky, or when they are unlucky, they will do their best to improve or to have the best gameplay possible. Because it's only where we can focus. Imposter syndrome. Something that I don't know if it happened to a lot of players, but from my friend I discussed with, it's something that happened to all my friends. This thing happened. Like when you win, you are at the top. You win a tournament, you go to world, you made like 5 top cuts in a row, and after, during like 2-3 months, you did nothing. Like no top cut, like you lose game. 1 week after, like 2 week after, you can feel like a clown. Like you really feel bad and you feel like you are the worst player, like, and it's something that can be hard to accept because you were at the top, and after, if you're not at the top anymore, you can put in your head that you are not good anymore or you won't be good anymore, but it's not the case. Remember, the craning effect is like, it doesn't matter if you win, like if you learn, if you work, you will be more competent. So when you win, you have euphoria, you seems like you merit everything look easy, like everyone congratulate you. And to be honest, like it happened 2 times for me. The first time is like when I top cut 5 times in a row, and second time is when I qualify to World Championship, and you feel like everything is easy, like you deserve everything, and it's really easy to play the game at this moment. But the problem is like when you don't win anymore, like when everything doesn't go your way, like you can be in a bad mood, you can be anxious, you can be scared, you can feel like an imposter. And the thing is, most of the time when you're in this situation, there will be no everyone that will be here to congratulate you or to say you like, okay, like you will success again, don't worry, continue to fight. Like if you are down here, you have to continue to fight. Don't forget that you are still competent, like you are more competent than before. So continue to fight, continue to learn, like to improve, enjoy the game. If you enjoy the game, like just enjoy the game, meet people, and result will come. And don't forget, you are more competent here. Like here, you are more competent than here. So you are not an imposter. It's like play the game, enjoy the game, and just work. And if it functions for you, it functions for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's part of the game. Good condition tournament. Okay, I will say you what, in my opinion, are good condition tournament. And like I said, everything that I will say here is from my experience. It's not like the truth. It's how I feel. You can feel different, and it's okay. There is no problem. I share with you my thinking process. You can disagree. There is no problem with this. When I was teacher, I cannot arrive too early in tournament, and this is something that changed now that I'm not teacher anymore. And I notice that not arriving too late is really good because it's less stressful. I like to arrive like 2 days early if possible, because when I arrive just 1 day before, it can be hard because you are tired, you need to sleep, and you don't have time to, how to say that, not to lose your mind, but like to change your mind. And it can be hard. So I like to arrive like 2 days before if it's possible. When it's a really big tournament, I like to arrive like 5-6 days before, like for World Championship, for example. But most of the time, 2 or 3 days before is quite good. I don't sleep too late because Sleeping is really, really important. It's something that I learned from poker. Is like you cannot notice this, but if you sleep well, like your brain will think way faster and everything will go way smoother. So sleeping schedule is really important. Dried fruit plus fruit, I try to have this during the tournament. Like this, if I lose some energy and I can eat dry fruit or fruit, and it worked really well for me. And meditation. I know some player doesn't like meditation. It's something that I do and that helped me a lot. Is like really simple. It's about breath exercise, but it helped me. And also it helped me to when the game, how to say, like when we play game with high value, like high value game. It's like if you play for 10k euro, you play for 20k euro. Like in final in Liverpool, I throw a game. The second game I threw it, and it was very important game because if I don't win, I will not go to World Championship. I just think about meditation exercise and it helped me to just focus on the moment and focus on the game. And the third game was okay, I was just focused on the game. So it helped me. Maybe if you try, it can help you as well. What I don't do and I should do, because like I said, my goal is to improve. I know I have a lot of way to improve, is I should eat healthier and lighter. Uh, I know I eat unhealthy because I like too much burger, I like too much pizza and things like this. And I think it's not that good for me before tournament because I don't sleep that well after and I don't have that much energy as well for the day after. I should do sport as well. It's something that I need to focus on. Sport, like you will see in every if we talk about poker, every best poker player like do sport because it's really important, like to change your mind, to just like have another exercise that can allow you to not think, not a cerebral exercise. Something also that I'm currently doing, so I could remove it from this. It's don't play the day before. I decide to not play the day before. I prefer to change my mind, play board game, like hang out with friends and just discuss, like watch video, because it didn't matter. To be honest, like playing the day before, like I will not learn my game plan, I will not learn my mulligan the day before the event. So I prefer to not play. Thank you. If you arrive here, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this masterclass. I hope you learn things. I did my best to share with you my knowledge and to help you to become a better One Piece player. If you want to help us, there is different way to help us, but the most important is free, and it's just to share this masterclass with your friend. You can talk about it in your local, you can share on social media like X or Facebook, Instagram. Like, do not hesitate to share this masterclass. I will try to put it on YouTube as well to have French translation and Spanish translation with subtitle on YouTube. If it doesn't work the next month, I will spend time to do it in French and to do it in Spanish as well. I'm currently searching a Japanese friend to help me to translate this in Japanese as well. I want to make this video open for the most people possible. If you can, and really important to notice is only if you can. If you cannot afford to help with money, don't do this. It's okay. Just share the video and it's already perfect. But if you like the content, you can subscribe to our Patreon. We organize a winner box each month. For member, it's free. Like you just have your subscription of the Patreon. It's like $10 each month. And you have a lot of content. We made like for OPO 950 video, it's more than 60 hours. And for OPO 10, we already start. some OPO10 content, so do not hesitate. There is a lot of content, and each month a winner box. So you can win a box for free. We are responsive and answer all questions on the Discord, so do not hesitate. If you want to contribute to make me do a new masterclass, do not hesitate to give donation, even small one, all donation matter, and it allows us to do new public content because we spend a lot of time doing this thing, and so we do our best to give you high quality knowledge and high quality masterclass. So do not hesitate, but only if you can, guys. And the last word, thank you. Thank you a lot for watching. Thank you a lot for being here. And I hope you will enjoy your stay in One Piece community. And see you soon, guys. Bye bye.